Hello everyone, and in today's video we're going to be going over the essentials on how to make EDM in FL Studio Mobile. So today's list, we're going to be going over the main topics of these specified topics. I just said topics twice. So sound goal / idea, this is going to get into sound design, ADSR filtering, effects, dynamics, panning, velocity, etc., automations, track hierarchy, note timing, MIDI timing / placement. Let me actually, oh geez. And then miscellaneous. So for starters, I have a track opened up. Didn't know how to explain it until I started writing all that down. And to get stuff started, we are going to go over sound design. So with the basic idea of sound design, you're going to want to keep in mind these other concepts too, which is ADSR filtering and dynamics. So the sound design basically comes hand in hand with the sound that you're hearing in your head and how you go about making it. So that basically breaks down the first step. So sound goal and idea. Just basically get the idea of the sound that you're trying to make and learn how to make it. So that checks that one off. Now we get into ADSR filtering. Attack, decay, sustain, or release filtering. So attack is how much the note is pushed back. As you can see in this project file, I have possibly one instrument that is attacked. No? Do I not? Yeah, I don't think I have any instruments that are attacked. None of them are. But if you listen to it, what attack does is pushes the value of the start of each MIDI and pushes it forward a bit, creating a delay in the start. Decay is how much it takes that timing for it to reset. Sustain is how long it takes for that reset timing to actually fade. And then release is how long it lasts. It's kind of complicated in those terms, but they're kind of synonymous with the last three: decay, sustain, and release. The only difference is that decay is the peak of the note. Sustain is in between the peak and the lasting, and then release is the lasting. And then attack is how much it's pushed back. So I'm gonna play this and solo it, and you'll hear how it sounds. That's without attack, and this is with attack. As you can see, the starting initial value is pushed back, giving it more of like a wavy sound. So that pretty much covers that. So if we go back to the notes, we can check off ADSR filtering, attack, decay, sustain, and release filtering, and then we can move on to dynamics. Now, dynamics are a little bit more should I say, there's a lot more going on here. So, as you can see, I think we're going to go over two topics. So, dynamics, we're going to go over panning, velocity, and track hierarchy. So, as you could see in this project, I have a lot of auxiliary tracks, as you may have noticed, and four to be precise. I named them to make stuff more organized. So I have the shakers, the kick, the snare, the side kick, stick. My bad. These can be routed if you click on the drums and you double tap on your pattern, and once you click on the desired drum that you would like to modify, you click sequence up here and you route it to an auxiliary track and you create effects tracks and whatnot. So given that, you can route each and every drum that you would like to its own individual track and give it effects that stand out from the rest of the drums. Like on this kick, I've enabled the distortion, the reverb, the multi-effects, giving it low-pass filtering, and you could do way more. But that's just the drums. So let's listen to this. Not much, right? Now let's solo the rest of these and we could hear them all together. So that shows you the usefulness and the versatility of routing it to auxiliary tracks. Now, let's see what happens when you add effects to them, which I did slightly go over, but I didn't completely go over it. So we went over a little bit of track hierarchy, not entirely, but I don't think it matters much in FL Studio Mobile. I could be wrong, but FL Studio Mobile doesn't really have much of a hierarchy per se when it comes to effects and whatnot. So the only thing I would recommend keeping in hierarchy is the clipping. So if you have one sound that's overpowering another, you can use a limiter. There are other methods too, like a wave shaper. But for the most part, that's pretty much covering track hierarchy and dynamics. And then we'll watch it to see what's actually going on. Let me turn this attack down. So what's really going on here, and what the magic is that filter and the Vox. So if you notice, the filter is slightly moving up in hertz, creating a gate to allow the sound through slowly. And the Vox is creating that voicey, rough, distorted noise. So if I were to turn the Vox off and play it, So there are a lot of things you could do with this, especially if you automate them. Now that's something I'm going to get into in the next step, but the vowel is how much it's actually making like a mouth noise, and depending on which way you move it creates like different shapes. The size is how much of that is being initiated. And then of course you can create waviness and like glitchy effects with the LFO amount right here on the right. So I'm gonna display or demonstrate. Let me increase the beats to half. Yeah, as you can see, that sounded disgusting. I don't know if that was good or bad. I mean, the ending was kind of bad, but regardless, it just still sounded messy and like really disgusting in a good bad way. So that is the main thing we will be using is Vox and LFOs and filters. But everything else falls in ADSR filtering and whatever else I covered in the past segments. So let's move back to this note, and we can pretty much cross off effects. We'll move into automations. Automations are right here. All you really do, you tweak a knob. Let's say I want to automate this attack. So what I do, I moved it, you click control, and then you click add automation track, or you could manually record it and have something come in like this. And then I want to create a little bit of LFO, so I'm going to do that too. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of size and vowel. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of size and vowel. Okay, so with that made, we can go ahead and listen to it. And then let's go back to the notes. Automations can be checked off. MIDI timing and placement, and I think that about sums up this video. Because MISC, I can't quite think of anything else to go over for MISC. So I'm just going to keep that there for now. But for the note timing and placement, you're really just going to want to look at this grid and determine whether what you want to place is all the way through or halfway through. So all the way through meaning on the mark, halfway through meaning kind of like halfway through the mark. So with the drums, it's a perfect example. You can go on beat or you can go off beat. But depending on the type of rhythm you're going for, you're going to want to use an equation to like actually determine where to place these notes. So let's listen to it from the beginning together in context. So now that I listened to this, I realize I do need a miss section. So I went over the MIDI timing and placement, but I didn't quite go over what type of instruments to use and how to approach it. So for starters, a lot of people like to start off with the drums. I would not recommend that, but it's entirely up to you. It really is. But the reason why I say that is so that way you could sound design and actually like mix the sounds appropriately. Now, what I mean by that is, of course, you're gonna want 5 instruments in a song at total. Like you don't want to surpass that, and if you do, you don't want them playing more than 5 instruments at a time. And what I mean by 5 instruments, SFX or an ambient, a lead, a chord, and a percussion instrument. So with those 5 instruments, you should make yourself a decent track. And you'll have a lot of stuff to work with. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then everything else is just auxiliary tracks and master track. Oh, and automation tracks. But here's where the thing comes in. The ADSR filtering I taught you earlier, or not even taught you, just went over in brief terms. You could use that to create specific sounds. So let's say you wanted to create a pad-like texture. So what you do is create a sound with more attack and increase the release, decay, and sustain. So that would give you a delayed, lasting ambient texture. So let's say you wanted it to be more subtle, you would increase the attack. If you want it to be more punchy, you decrease the attack. This song is really punchy, so I decreased the attack entirely, except for the beginning where I actually reduced it. So let's listen to that again. And then right here is a different part. As you can see, there's a slight difference. It really makes a lot of difference whenever I play it solo. So So I think that pretty much covers that entire topic on how we make EDM in FL Studio Mobile. For all you mobile floopers out there that really feel like I missed a point, please let me know, because I would love to know some tips and tricks on how to improve this game. But for the most part, I can't quite think of anything off the top of my head. And I really think that covered a majority of it. But if you don't feel so, please, like I said, just let me know. I'll redo the video. I'll just redo it. But other than that, thank you for tuning in. Have a good day, and really hope you guys found this useful. Peace.